Hello there, it's me, Ramesh again, and I'm going to talk about the history of the RezMela system, its architecture, and the lessons that we learned, and where we are going, basically. So maybe that will help the listener understand why we are doing what we are doing. So it's really an adventure. Keep in mind that everything that we are doing is self-funded. So if you find anything that we say that is interesting or inspiring, or if you have to ask any, if you want to ask any questions, please, do so in the comment section below. All right. So now that we got this blurb out of the way, we can start. The RezMela system arose out of a number of needs or frustrations that we experienced as users. So partly the issue was that as end users, we need to communicate our needs to people working in the back end, and then try to influence how the system can evolve. It's not always easy to do so, and so the only way perhaps to succeed in this process, if as end users we experiment with different types of applications, we kind of show and tell about possibilities, and then perhaps we can get some attention. So from my end, I was looking at how to make it easier to for users to build environments, to build simple applications. It could be like a board game, or it could be let's say a landscape, or like I just said, like buildings, or even seating arrangements, and how they could customize it easily if they wouldn't want to build all these things from scratch. So in a way, all users want to have needs, and they want to express themselves through the environment that they create, okay, or co-create with others. And there are different types of creation. At one level, you will have, creating the setup, the setting. And at another level, you have users just speaking, the chatting, typing in text is content creation. Two different levels. Maybe somewhere in the middle there, you'll have, somebody creating diagrams, drawings. They use objects that they place on a 2D surface. So that's content creation. And so I sat down and thought about all these content creation examples, and tried to find out, what tends to be common about them, and then try to land on some basic principles, and then try to create tools that would maybe make those common elements across all these different content creation types more efficient. Okay, so you want to make it easier for people to customize, let us say, a landscape, customize a building, maybe to change text on a poster, or change text on a display. So those are the kind of interests that I had, and of course, like working in a team, you get all these little seeds ideas get multiplied, and you have many more examples that arose. So maybe I should also mention, we have apps that generate NPC, non-player characters. Currently, we are investigating how to make the characters intelligent by connecting them in the backend to Watson AI, and that's from IBM. We experimented with Google as well, with the conversation agent from Google. We at present we find that the IBM Watson API is the easiest to use, and so that's what we are using at the moment. We will also experiment with GPT-3 in the near future. So all these different things are kind of relevant and interesting, and they are topics that I will address in my future talks. For now, I want to maybe just dial back a little bit and say, okay, let's look at what is the RezMela system, where is it situated, where I would situate it in the whole picture of OpenSIM and the end users. I would say it's like in between the OpenSIM server side of things and end users. So that's where the layer resides. And there is one concept that I wanted to maybe touch upon is how all these apps, because they share all these different commonalities when it comes to generating content for each and every one of them, we found that it's much easier if we had a universal user interface that would actually connect all these together. So, even if you have one presentation app here, you have, the building. This building is itself an app. You can sign into the building app, and I actually raised here a Lentiles app, the one that I described previously for making landscapes. So if I were to sign into this, you would see that this is again another app. Of course, I won't create anything here. Maybe I can just show something. But when you sign in, the HUD is intelligent enough to know what type of app we are signing in, and then it would actually, be customized for that particular app. So it's universal in its presentation, but when you go into the menu system, it updates. It is updated according to which app you are using. So in this case, you would see that the categories of objects that I have are as follows. Okay, the next question that I'm sure that comes up is, how do you create those categories of objects? Okay, so let's start by looking at one little example here. So I'm picking an object and I'm placing it over here, and I'm resizing, and let's say I want to have like a small bonsai here. So we have a small tree, and I've placed it here. Okay. So where is that tree coming from? It's coming from a Rez that is, associated with this app. Okay, every app will have, a series of ways to create all these objects. It's not as straightforward as you would think, because we had to bypass a number of OpenSIM limitations in order to make that happen. But at the end of the day, we succeeded. But this again is an example of how we come across needs at the end user level, and then we try to communicate those needs and those concerns down to the deeper layers, and hopefully get the attention of the people working at that level of abstraction, developers. It's interesting when you work in such large systems. It's like an ecosystem of people, and you have to navigate through the human the human characteristics, the kind of bandwidth, cognitive bandwidth that's available to all of us, and try to navigate through these constraints and try to see how to make things happen. So I do find that when there is an environment of respect and of open communications, then things really, work very well. And you can achieve a lot with a very, very small team indeed. All right, so that is the little bit here about about an app and and the objects it contains. So what I'll do, I'm going to just clear this at the moment because I wanted to show you something else. I wanted to show you where those objects are stored. Remember that you saw a list of categories when you signed in. And what we have here is a set of modules. Every app has a set of modules. Okay, so you see these modules here. They are available in this way, and you can actually take a peek inside. Maybe for end users who are buying it and who they might not have the permissions to do it. But if you are in a development settings, we can actually illustrate all this, and you can see that in each and every category of object you have the list of content, which are the library objects for these that will go in that specific category. So we raise the tree, and now you can see you have all these different types of trees. Okay, and now these objects, they can have different levels of complexity. Okay, so you can have like a static object, like the tree that I just raised. Well, it's not exactly static because it's actually a themed tree. By theme, I mean that you can actually change how the tree looks like when you change seasons. And in summer the tree will look different from winter, for example. So it's kind of interactive in a way. You have some control on it. But there are objects. Let's assume that you have a stone, for example, a rock that doesn't change much. So that would be an example of a static object. Okay, and the other maybe point that flows in this along this discussion here is that you can also have within these this library of objects within these different categories other apps. So it's kind of nested apps. You can have a category that contains other apps. Okay, that's kind of an advanced feature, but you can see that the idea is that now you can have an app for creating the landscape, an app for creating the buildings, an app for creating the presentation, an app for a drawing tool, and each of these apps would have their own categories of objects. Next question that comes up is where do people get those objects? Okay, so that's one of the things that we were interested in. We looked at all the challenges that teachers faced or end users faced when they join a virtual world. One of the things is that they are attracted to virtual worlds because they want to create content. And if you're a subject matter expert, you want to create subject matter that is relevant to what you want to teach. Or if you want to do some role-playing stuff, you need to create an environment that would fit your story, your line. If you want to do machinima, or like I said, any kind of storytelling. In fact, we have whatever we are doing. It's kind of a story-first approach. Maybe in a different talk, I might talk about what the story-first approach is and how it emerged. But here we have all these different needs, and part of the creation of apps involves curation of objects. So we can actually go and talk to designers that are building these products, and we try to make it available to end users. I'm sorry, my mic is running a little bit hot. It always does. It's just because I have a soft voice and I try to overdo the amplification sometimes. So I think there is an opportunity here for designers to work with us, because we want to make it really easy for end users to create their content, to customize it, and to really be as close as possible, to create something that's really as close as possible to what they really need, and at different levels, when it comes to a 3D drawing, for example, we have a presentation tools where you have different categories, different modules. Each module has a type of objects. You can have circles, you can have squares, triangles, polygons, all kinds of stuff. And another one has arrows, exactly like, a normal object-oriented drawing package, things that you would expect in a drawing package using object orientation. And, the same principle. That's why I say it's like a spectrum of needs, all of them sharing the same ground, the same common elements. Okay, so for maybe I should use this opportunity to encourage builders and artists to get in touch with us so that we can, try to find out how we can build. I'm sorry, I just hit the mic. How we can build new objects and libraries of objects. I'm thinking that perhaps how to design apps needs a separate series of videos on its own, so that we discuss, the various skills that are needed to design an app. How do you select the various categories that go into an app? How do you implement the interactivity for the different objects in the app? And so what you want to shoot for is that you want to have apps that have as minimum viable products and provide the opportunity for the end user to assemble, experiences, learning experiences, interactive learning experiences for their users. All right, so that's maybe the blurb about what an app is, what a 3D app is, and what they consist of. And let me just hide these modules here. And okay, all right. The next thing about the universal HUD is it allows you to look and navigate to look at various objects and navigate the world very easily. Okay, so you could actually jump to objects of interest by going into specific modes using the same universal HUD interface. Okay, so in summary, before I go to the summary, I want you to decide whether you find that the things that we are talking about is of interest, and if it is, and if you have questions, please feel free to ask questions in the comment section. Hit the like buttons, or maybe kick the button or punch it, I suppose, if you want to hear from us on a more regular basis. Okay, all right. So what's next? We talked about apps. We talked about the why they are implemented. We talked about the idea of nested apps. That's this point when we had to find a name for these more advanced apps. We called it maps, but that's beyond the scope of this little presentation here. And then we talked about the productivity gains. That was one of our main goals for end users. Okay, and we also talked about how we want to recruit designers, mesh builders, and in general texture artists and all everything that's needed to make good looking environments. And all right, so let me see what else I have to say. I think that probably that probably sums up everything that I had in mind. So maybe I should stop here. Maybe that's a nice place to stop. So thanks for your attention. I hope to see you soon. Okay, peace. Bye.